morning. This is long-awaited AMA session with Rob Viglione from Horizen. Hello, Rob.
Hi, Greg. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. How are you doing?
Doing well. It's a beautiful day-ish here in Puerto Rico, where I live.
Oh, you're in Puerto Rico. Yeah, that's good. Actually, you have quite a lot of questions to you, and all of that questions were asked on Twitter, on our social networks. But first of all, I would like to ask you about your background because it's really interesting. I know the fact about you that you used to work in U.S. Army. Am I right?
Yeah. I worked with the Army. So I had the first part of my career in the military. I actually started off in Army with what's called Army ROTC in the US, which is like a Reserve Officer Training Corps. And then I went to the Air Force, actually. So I was a physicist, mathematician back in my early career. And I got poached by the Air Force to actually work in Space Command. So then I worked in like Air Force Space Command, working with satellites, like kind of intelligence satellites originally, and then launch vehicles, like the Delta rocket launch vehicle was one area that I worked for a while. And then I went more into the operational intelligence with Army, US Marine Corps, and some other special forces units in Afghanistan. Wow. That was that part of my career, completely different from what I do now. And I had a nice transition point in academia, where I went back for my PhD, and then I went into this industry.
Actually, that's why I'm asking you. So how come you're here in cryptocurrency world?
So it started from Bitcoin, and I got into Bitcoin relatively early, just because I viewed it as one of these kind of social transformational technologies that was disrupting finance and economics, a field that I loved, and ultimately got my graduate degree in that. But I loved that it was empowering to people. It was basically challenging a very old financial system, a way of doing things where we could make finance peer-to-peer. So I loved Bitcoin. I got into Bitcoin while I was living in Afghanistan. And I started early there, actually just holding seminars and educating people on what is Bitcoin, here's what the technology is, here's how to set up a wallet, here's how to get involved. And then I was fortunate enough to go back into academia and formally study Bitcoin from an asset pricing finance perspective.
Yeah, I see. So still we are speaking about Horizen, right? So probably it's a good idea just to tell some words about that.
Yeah, so Horizen started as Zen Cash back in 2017. And the idea back then, it really wasn't meant to be what it is today. It was supposed to be a bit of an experiment where I love the Bitcoin world, and I love what's going on there. And back in 2017, Bitcoin was even more dominant than it is today. So it's kind of hard to think, even 4 years in crypto, the world has changed, or the industry has changed a lot. But back then it was meant to explore a different way of doing economics, more economic sustainability for these public blockchain systems, and then also taking privacy and scaling privacy into a different way. So what we launched Zen Cash back then, a project that today has turned into Horizen. We've really focused on scaling this privacy technology, and today we're actually completing our big blockchain sidechain system called ZenDo. That really takes this ZK snark, or like a special class of privacy technology, to a whole new level. It takes it to a whole new level that we can talk about a bit more as we deep dive on the technology.
Yeah, you just said some word about technology side, as far as I know, that's kind of a fork of Bitcoin, right? And it's also a fork of Zcash. Am I right with that?
Yeah, so the technology comes through if you look at our core blockchain, what's running today, it comes from Bitcoin through Zcash, and then you have Horizen on the just kind of like the core code base. What we've been doing for the last 3 years actually is building a completely innovative and totally different code base that we're implementing by the end of the third quarter of this year. So we're finishing development now, and then we'll go through all this third-party auditing, testing, and all that, and migrate it to the mainnet. But basically, our big code base is about to change significantly. But as of today, it is from the Bitcoin and the Zcash kind of code bases.
Yeah, can I say that you got this privacy from Zcash, and something for Bitcoin too.
Exactly. So, I mean, Bitcoin, we got the general proof of work consensus from Bitcoin, just a very battle-hardened, robust, blockchain, and that was important for us because the Horizen core blockchain should be extremely secure. Because it is the engine for the entire kind of sidechain ecosystem that we're building now. Now, from Zcash, we took this concept of ZK snarks, where it's a class of cryptography called zero-knowledge cryptography. And really what it gives you is the ability to publish information onto a public ledger, which is a distributed system that everyone gets to see what gets put on there, but actually encrypt that information, but encrypt it in a special way. You encrypt it so that you can actually use that information in a computational context. So basically, you could put information on a public ledger in a privacy-preserving way so no one can see what that information is, but you can still do certain types of operations on the information, so still make use of that data without revealing the data. So we believe very strongly that this is the bridge, that bridging technology that will make blockchain go mainstream.
Can I ask you about competitors? So do you have any competitors in this verse here?
Absolutely. So if you think about, to put this in a mental map of where we are in the industry, you can think of projects like Polkadot and Cosmos that have the sidechain system, but replace their validators with, we use cryptographic circuits instead of validators. So we have a very flexible, very scalable, totally decentralized sidechain system that takes the sidechain concept from Polkadot and Cosmos to a new level. Now, on top of that, our sidechains themselves, what are they? They are proof of stake, coming from Ouroboros Praus, which is basically the consensus behind Cardano. So we actually share a research team with Cardano, and we've modified Ouroboros Praus to be our sidechain consensus, and we've modified it in a very important way. We've actually included recursive snark technology, or basically recursion technology, that keeps the database footprint of that sidechain constant over time. So it doesn't grow with usage. It's actually very flexible and scales nicely because it doesn't increase significantly in size with or at all with usage. So that technology comes from Mina. So it's like, if you want to combine all of these things, you can think of Horizen as a combination of Polkadot meets Cardano meets Mina meets Zcash.
Oh, okay. That's quite impressive. Yeah, I just want to remind everybody that they can win prizes, just something about $300 in Horizen. You just need to join our Twitter or probably our Telegram. And also, the results will be here. Okay, good. We can continue. What about everyday use of Horizen? Probably you can say words about that.
Yeah, sure. So I mean, you can think of Horizen in one way as like two different projects. One project comes from what we've been doing from 2017 until today. And that was really, we were a cryptocurrency. Zen was the cryptocurrency. It was a privacy-preserving cryptocurrency like Zcash. Now that our sidechain system is done with development, and as soon as the system goes live, we will be a programmable blockchain, a blockchain's ecosystem, just like I've described. The combination of like a Polkadot meets Cardano meets Mina meets Zcash. But that type of user is much different than the early cryptocurrency user. So Zen, in that context, goes from being a cryptocurrency to being the transaction gas in staking like token, basically, for this entire blockchain ecosystem. And the scope of this ecosystem is important because we can do, in just the first version of this system we're releasing, up to 1,000 blockchains can operate in parallel on with our mainnet. So that's huge. And Zen is the stake coin for all of them because they're proof of stake. And every time anyone broadcasts a transaction on any sidechain, they need Zen as the gas to broadcast that transaction. So all of a sudden now the users of the system migrate from being just cryptocurrency users to people that are actually building applications. In particular, where we're focusing is on large enterprises using our technology as their blockchain infrastructure. So that's kind of the market segment that we're targeting, is we want to be that blockchain infrastructure for the world.
Okay, good. There was another question about security, so probably you can comment on that. So how secure Horizen is?
Very, and we do security in a variety of ways. It's a layered security in depth model where it starts. So first, it starts with the main chain. The main chain is a very robust proof of work main chain with modified Nakamoto consensus. Really what that means in big words, that's modified Bitcoin consensus. So what we modified it to actually be more resistant to 51% attacks, which is kind of like a malicious mining majority on the network. Now we introduced like a second check in the consensus that actually checks for a malicious attack. Then we also have TLS, SSL, node-to-node encryption. So we have security there between nodes, like data transfers. Then we have our sidechains, and our sidechains are secured through a zero-knowledge circuit. So it's actually a hard-coded circuit that is deployed with every single sidechain. So a malicious actor would have to circumvent that circuit somehow. Then there's a proof of stake majority there that adds another layer of security. And then you have snarks being broadcast, so a zero-knowledge proof being broadcast with every transaction at the transaction level. If you add all of these things together, this is why we make the very bold claim that this is the most secure blockchain system out there, because it is like a layered in-depth security model that just doesn't exist anywhere else.
Yeah. That sounds quite impressive. But I really would like to come back to question from our users, and there is another one about decentralization. Which feature of Horizen makes it unique and the most decentralized? So
So what makes it the most decentralized? So a few factors, actually. And one, we can start the simple stuff, is we have one of the largest node networks in the industry. So we were very meticulous about setting the right economics so our infrastructure scales significantly. So we have something like 45,000 servers around the world running our software. That's a very robust, always live, never goes down network, right? So that's kind of one huge asset for the ecosystem. Now, on the other end, we've actually architected this system to be totally decentralized. And what I mean here is the sidechain system itself is unique in that it is the first totally decentralized sidechain system that doesn't rely on trusted validators to be able to operate. So anyone in the world can grab our software developer kit, our SDK, and launch their own sidechain. Basically, launch your own blockchain that's interoperable in the Horizen ecosystem. It's yours. You don't have to ask anyone permission, right? So this is really the spirit of the Satoshi spirit is we don't want to be gatekeepers. We want to have a permissionless environment where anyone in the world can come and participate. All you have to do is respect the rules of the software by running the software.
Okay. Another question about your token. So probably you can say something about your token. That's what are the dominant uses for the Horizen token?
Yeah, so what I just said about how we're migrating from being a cryptocurrency to being like a blockchain's ecosystem, really like a blockchain platform. What happens when ZEN our sidechain software, goes live to mainnet at the end of Q3 is that we're launching a platform that anyone in the world can launch their own blockchain. The blockchain is programmable directly. It's like Cardano, and ZEN is the stake required on this proof of stake blockchain system, and is the transaction payload. So anytime anyone wants to broadcast a transaction to the network on any sidechain, they need ZEN, right? So this is really the utility for ZEN, and why it adds a lot of value is because it is basically the payment currency of this network. And where we look at it is our value is having a decentralized network, and this I think is the value of blockchain, is by being decentralized, you can actually provide information integrity. And to keep the network decentralized, we need a transaction currency on the network so we can do a continuous stream of real-time payments to all of these actors in the decentralized network. All the people that mine blocks, forge blocks, they process snark transactions efficiently, they do other types of actions on the network autonomously. ZEN is the currency that is used to compensate all of them. Therefore, as the network gains real-world traction with real use cases by providing services to businesses, Zen all of a sudden has a real organic demand because it's needed to actually provide these services to the world.
Okay. Can you say something about payments? So there was a question. When will Zen be accepted as payment for everyday stuff?
Yeah, it's when Zen is so popular that it's running on everyone's mobile device and they don't even realize it. I'm sure that Zen will be accepted everywhere. But that said, big caveat, we're actually not strategically placing Zen as a transaction currency. That's not the point of it. Really, Zen is the utility, like the gas, to make this network operate, but we're not actively going out to merchants and trying to get them to accept Zen. The reason being, this is an important reason from an economics perspective, is merchants are not in the foreign exchange speculation business, right? They don't speculate on foreign currency. That's not what they do. They sell goods and services. And cryptocurrencies, including Zen, are highly volatile. Therefore, Zen itself, we're not going, like, it's just not part of our strategy to make Zen accepted by all merchants. That said, Zen will be the collateral for stablecoins within the Horizen ecosystem. So Zen will be the digital asset collateral that produces the stablecoin assets that can now be used for payments with merchants. So that will happen.
And what about transaction fees?
Extremely low. Yeah, I mean, we're talking transaction fees in the 1 to 10 cent range, and they don't escalate. So this is because of the architecture we chose is one that's very modular. And anytime that any particular sidechain looks like it's approaching like a maximum capacity of transactions, you launch another sidechain. So it's designed to actually never have the congestion pricing problem that Ethereum has. And if you don't have congestion pricing, basically the competitive marketplace we've built, and I saw one of the questions here in the chat is about our lattice incentive scheme paper that we published recently. It's essentially a competitive marketplace so that people are bidding on providing services to the network such that fees should always tend towards convergence on a cost. So that's what happens is there's a real economic cost to providing services to the network. You have to run servers, you have to run specialized computers like a GPU to provide services to the network. And ultimately, in a highly competitive environment like we've constructed, the fees should actually glide down towards cost.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'm just looking at comments, and there was a question about your plans. So I'll show it to you. Here it is. So any plan to focus on decentralized cloud business on Horizen?
So that's a really interesting question. In a way, we've created our own cloud business by having 45,000 servers running our software, right? So we already have a huge network providing services to the Horizen ecosystem. Now, the types of services they're providing are running the network, and running a full node of the blockchain, processing transactions. Some of them are mining. Some of them will be executing snark transactions on the computational side. So we've already de facto created like a cloud network. Now, whether or not users or businesses in our ecosystem, developers in our ecosystem, they could absolutely create applications that run on our network and offer them as potential additional things for our network providers to operate. And that would be kind of like an entrepreneurial opportunity for people that want to build an ecosystem, is consider this huge like cloud of 45,000 servers we have as an opportunity to actually build and offer applications in our ecosystem that maybe they might want to run. So that's a really interesting question.
Okay. So there is a specific one. Probably you can comment on that. What report or proven data gives you the most secure title on Horizen?
Yeah, so this is very similar to the other question that we answered about. We have this layered security system. So there's no report. I mean, we do third-party audits of our code base, of course, right? And we're engaging in 2 more of them right now. But this was a statement based on we have a unique security model that layers like hybrid proof of work with proof of stake, with snark circuits, with TLS, SSL, and so forth. So we have a layered security model that is just unique in the industry, and that's why we make that claim.
Thank you. I like this question so much. That's a question from social networks. In the future, what benefits will Horizon have for our planet Earth?
For planet Earth, we start with the humans on Earth. So we're really trying to help out the humans out there by creating a peer-to-peer ecosystem that's open to anyone in the world. You can participate. And we have very specific programs, actually. So we tend to focus often on the technology of like the enabling technology, the blockchain technologies that we're releasing. But at the same time, we have very interesting programs, like our marketing team, as an example. Erica and Lucy and our marketing team have an ambassador program. It's a really cool ambassador program designed to have anyone in the world come and participate and actually perform work for the network and actually get compensated. So this is like one micro example of how we're trying to make the world better by offering people opportunities to participate in a peer-to-peer ecosystem and actually earn a living by doing it. On the developer side, we have something called the Horizen Developer Environment, HDE, where again, we curate development tasks and open them up for developers or teams of developers to come in and just participate. Right? So we're trying to really just, our contribution to the planet is endowing the world with an ecosystem owned by its users, open to anyone in the world, and fair so that anyone can come in and actually earn a living just by adding value.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I think it's time to come back to technical ones. There was a question about ZEN feature, and there is another one which you like. What are the benefits of Horizen sidechain and their relationship with main chain?
Oh, right. Okay. So the main chain you can consider like a truth engine, and this is the way that I describe it. Maybe it's not so intuitive for people, but a truth engine. So the main chain, the only purpose of the main chain is to have an open environment where anyone in the world can verify transactions that happen on any given sidechain. So all of the action in our ecosystem happens on the sidechains, and the main chain is really just meant to provide public validation to anyone in the world that what happened on all of the sidechains is in fact real and valid. Also, the main chain houses the cryptocurrency ZEN. ZEN is the transaction gas, like I said, for all of the sidechains. And that's where, again, like it's the truth engine. It keeps the chain state of basically all of the UTXOs or these unspent transaction outputs that record ownership or like the state for all of the ZEN that exists. And anytime there's a state transition, it records that and it's open to anyone in the world. That's the purpose of the main chain. The sidechains is where it gets really interesting. So the sidechains are completely programmable. Now they are different than, say, like an Ethereum. Like we don't run like an Ethereum virtual machine as an example. But what we do is instead of having a virtual machine where you can write anything in the world in Solidity and then it kind of compiles the smart contract bytecode back to the blockchain, you actually program directly into the blockchain with us. So this is what's really interesting about the Horizen sidechains is you can program anything you want, any kind of logic you want using Java into our sidechains. And then the sidechains basically are completely decoupled from the main blockchain. And all of the transactions happen in the sidechain. So all of the applications, like any specific tools you want to build, businesses might want to run their own sidechains and so forth. That's all independent. What they do is they actually send certificates of like state transitions or transactions from the sidechains back to the main blockchain. These are zero knowledge certificates, basically zero knowledge proofs. Now, the main chain actually verifies the certificates that are sent from all of the sidechains. This is done with zero knowledge, which is really important because now anyone in the world can verify that what happened on the sidechains is valid without seeing what happened on the sidechains. So it's a really interesting, like zero knowledge enabled, ecosystem that operates between main chain and sidechains.
Talking about the differences, there is another question. What are the differences between secure nodes and super nodes? Can you please tell us?
Yeah, I mean, so the difference right now is really, there's two. One is on the staking side. So we require what's called like skin in the game. So if you want to participate in the infrastructure, we want to make sure you're a trusted infrastructure provider. Therefore, we require you to have some economic skin in the game. So the difference is 42 ZEN is required to run a secure node and 500 ZEN is required to run a super node. And then from there, you need to be able to process. So we require minimum standards for the type of hardware that you can run, because we don't want just a whole bunch of very low quality VPS instances running on the network. We actually want high quality instances or actual servers running on the network. So we require that people actually have to be able to process a snark transaction, which is computationally a little heavy, but it actually at least makes sure that people can process the types of transactions that happen on our network.
Okay, so we have just 5 minutes and 3 questions. First of all, I would like to ask you this technical one, really brief. How does Horizen plan to migrate the project's carbon footprint in the future? So probably you can say some words on that.
Yeah, this is really interesting, because I'm noticing this is a trend that was not part of the industry years ago. Not at all. No one cared. Now, a lot of people care. So the good news is all of our sidechains are proof of stake. So right away, the problem is solved on our sidechain. So all of the transaction activity, all of the business activity, the applications, all the development will be happening on sidechains, which is all proof of stake. And if you want to think about like the ratio here, we're talking about like 1,000 proof of stake blockchains operating with 1 proof of work, like core main chain. Now, over time, we are very much open to exploring ideas of upgrading the main blockchain. This is today proof of work. Now, if the community wants to do a proof of stake main chain, that's perfectly feasible and something that we will do in the future. But as of now, if you look at our average carbon footprint, it's collapsing significantly because all of the actions happening on the sidechains, which are all proof of stake.
Oh, okay. Something philosophical. Look at this. What's keeping you up at night? Community, building, product, or security?
Oh man, what a great question. So what keeps me up at night? We first of all, we can't hire fast enough. We have way too much deal flow of people that want to use the technology than we can actually service. So we have like our business team is so good. They have a big pipeline that we feed to our product team, and our product team can't keep up because we can't hire fast enough. So we're building another product engineering center in New York City, actually, and we're going to expand a significant center there where we hire anywhere between 20 and 40 engineers. So that should alleviate a lot of our frictions. We're building like an NFT specific team that may be located in Los Angeles. We'll see on that. We're expanding our Milan, Italy, R&D engineering team. We're expanding our Ukraine engineering team. So this is really like what keeps me up at night is thinking, how do we scale fast enough while our competitors are gobbling up business because they've already gotten bigger than we have? It's like we're something like a number 88 in the marketplace right now, and we haven't even launched our platform yet. So we're about to launch our platform in the next few months, and we already have a huge amount of business backlogged. And our team footprint is based on the fact that our resources were much smaller than our competitors. So as I think, we need to scale hard, we need to hire fast, but it's a balancing act because we don't want to be too aggressive because you never know what part are we in this market cycle. So we're always trying to scale our team expansion with kind of the market cycle, the resources we have. We're going to be raising more money. We have different organizations within the ecosystem. Like one of them, Horizen Labs, as an example, is a VC-backed software company that builds in the ecosystem. That Horizen Labs is raising more money in another funding round. So we're raising more capital, we're hiring more people, we're expanding, we're servicing more clients. It really is a race, and that's really where I focus all my time.
Okay, yeah. I just want to remind everybody that we have a special program. If you check our Telegram channel and our Twitter, so you can get up to $300 in Horizen. Yeah, and the winners will be announced tomorrow. Just please check our Twitter and Twitter of Horizen. And I know that you have only 30 minutes, right? So you're really busy right now, but still, there is another question, just the final one. Can I ask you?
Please, absolutely.
Yeah. Look, imagine if you have a superpower, if you had a superpower in the cryptocurrency world, what would it be? And what would you change?
Oh, interesting. Okay. If I had a superpower in the crypto world, what would it be and what would I change? Man, Yeah, that's a tough one. I would, I'm very focused on obviously what we're doing. So I would want snarks to be more efficient, so we could actually process transactions much faster. But I mean, that's kind of a lame answer. Would be a good one. I don't know. I honestly have to really think about that. Maybe I'll write a blog post about it. But maybe one thing would be, I think because this is a very new industry, and it sounds weird. We've been around for 10 plus years, so it's not that new, but it's still new in the grand scheme of things. And there's always people that are just finding out about what's going on and joining. But because there's so much value at stake, and because these coin and token prices can go up so fast and go down so fast, it attracts a lot of people in it. And I don't think that people really understand the risk of what's going on in this marketplace. They don't understand the risk of what does it mean when you buy a token? What does it mean when you buy a coin, you invest in a project? And I think a lot of people are also just launching projects because they're cashing in on this marketplace. So there's a lot of, like in economics, we call it an information asymmetry, where a lot of people are coming in, they don't have all the information, don't really understand what they're investing. You have a lot of entrepreneurs coming in. Some of them are extremely good entrepreneurs, really good intentions, really good ability to execute on projects. Others, can't execute so well. They don't have a lot of experience, or they're just straight up frauds, right? And we always have this kind of like fraud element of the marketplace. And it's this information asymmetry that if I could snap my fingers, I would love for more information to be available to everyone instantaneously, so that everyone can make more rational decisions of what projects do you want to support, to what extent do you support them. I always cringe every time I see a smart contracting bug and $100 million lost, or some fraud that happens, right? Because this sucks. It raises the cost for everyone else in the industry that's just doing things right and being conservative and delivering real software and value. So that's what I would do, I guess, if I had a superpower.
Actually, I absolutely support you, and in terms of information. So as I said before, we have Twitter and we have Telegram, and please subscribe, please follow us, and you'll have more information. Thank you so much, Rob. That was really interesting to speak with you. Hope to see you next time.
Thank you. Likewise. Appreciate it.
Yeah. See you. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys.